What if I told you that right now, at this exact moment, some of the biggest property opportunities in the United Kingdom are sitting wide open, and most people have absolutely no idea? Not because the information is hidden, not because you need a special license or £1 million in the bank, but simply because most people are waiting for the perfect moment, and by the time they realize the moment has already passed, prices will have moved, the window will have closed, and they will be sitting exactly where they are today, watching someone else build wealth from the sidelines. Do not let that be you. Stay with me, because what I am about to share with you in this video could genuinely change the financial direction of your life. Welcome back to NestPath UK. If you are new here, this is the channel where we break down the UK property market in a way that actually makes sense. No confusing jargon, no agenda, just honest, well-researched insight for anyone who wants to understand where the real opportunities are and how to position themselves to take advantage. We cover everything from first-time buyer strategies to investment hotspots to the economic forces shaping property values across the country. So if that is the kind of content you have been looking for, subscribe right now and hit the bell, because we drop new videos every single week and you do not want to miss what is coming. Now today's video is one I have been genuinely excited to make, because we are heading into 2026 and the UK property market is at one of the most fascinating and frankly most important crossroads it has seen in years. Interest rates have been shifting, demand is climbing back, supply is still struggling to keep up, and in certain cities, specific, identifiable cities, a combination of regeneration projects, infrastructure investment, population growth, and rental demand is creating conditions that serious investors and smart first-time buyers simply cannot afford to ignore. So in this video, I am going to walk you through the top cities to buy property in the UK right now, before the market surges. I am going to tell you not just which cities to look at, but why. What the underlying forces are, what the data is pointing to, and what you need to understand about each market before you make a move. And I am going to share something at the end of this video that most property channels will never tell you. A mindset shift that separates the people who actually build wealth through property from the ones who spend their whole lives meaning to get started. So please, stay until the end. Let us get into it. Let us start by talking about the big picture, because context matters here more than people realize. The UK property market has been through a significant correction phase over the past couple of years. Rising interest rates pushed borrowing costs up, affordability dropped, transaction volumes fell, and a lot of buyers sat on the fence waiting to see what would happen. And here is the thing, that correction was painful in some areas, but it also created something valuable. It created a reset. It cleared some of the speculative froth from the market. It brought prices back to more sustainable levels in many regions. And now, with rates beginning to ease and confidence slowly returning, the market is starting to move again. But here is what most people miss. The UK property market is not one market. It is dozens of very different markets, all behaving in very different ways, all driven by very different forces. What is happening in central London is completely different to what is happening in Manchester or Leeds or Birmingham or Belfast. And the cities that are positioned to grow the most over the next 2 to 3 years are not necessarily the ones with the biggest names or the most glamorous reputations. They are the ones where the fundamentals are strongest, where the jobs are growing, where the infrastructure is being built, where the young professional population is expanding, and where property prices have not yet fully reflected all of that underlying strength. Those are the places NestPath UK wants you to pay attention to right now. So let us talk about the first city, and this one might not surprise you, but the reasons behind it absolutely should: Manchester. Now, you have probably heard Manchester mentioned as a property hotspot before, but what most people do not tell you is just how deep and how broad the transformation of this city actually goes. Manchester is not just growing, it is restructuring. The city's economy has fundamentally shifted over the past decade from one built on manufacturing and industry to one driven by finance, technology, media, and higher education. It is home to 2 of the world's most well-known universities. It has a young, highly educated, and growing population. And critically, it has a rental market that is under enormous pressure, with demand consistently outpacing supply, which means rental yields in the right postcodes are some of the strongest in the entire country. But here is the specific thing I want you to understand about Manchester in 2026. The regeneration is not finished. In fact, in many parts of the city, it is still in early stages. Areas like Salford, Ancoats, and New Islington were unrecognizable a decade ago and are now established desirable locations. But areas further out, Collyhurst, Miles Platting, parts of East Manchester, are now entering that same early regeneration curve. And if history has taught us anything about Manchester, it is that the areas catching early momentum today become the established hotspots of tomorrow. The investors who got into Ancoats 8 years ago are sitting on extraordinary gains right now. The question is, who is getting into the next Ancoats today? Now, before we move to the next city, I want you to hold on to something I just said. The areas catching early momentum today become the hotspots of tomorrow. That idea is going to come back later in this video in a way that connects everything together. Keep it in the back of your mind. Let us keep going. The second city I want to talk about is Leeds. And Leeds is fascinating right now because it is arguably the most undervalued major city in the north of England when you look at its economic fundamentals versus its property prices. Leeds has one of the fastest growing financial sectors outside of London. It is a major legal and professional services hub. It has a huge student population, over 60,000 students across its universities, and a graduate retention rate that has been improving year on year, which means more young professionals staying in the city, building careers, renting, and eventually buying. And yet property prices in Leeds still sit significantly below Manchester in many comparable areas, which tells you something important about where in the cycle Leeds currently sits. The infrastructure story in Leeds is also compelling. The city has long discussed plans for significant transport improvements, and while some of these have been painfully slow to materialize, the direction of travel is clear. Better connectivity means wider catchment areas, which means more demand flowing into the city from surrounding towns and commuter zones. And when you combine rising employment, a young and growing population, improving transport links, and property prices that have not yet fully caught up, you have the ingredients for a market that has serious room to run. Here at NestPath UK, we always say, do not chase the market that has already moved. Position yourself in the market that is about to. And Leeds, right now, fits that description very well. Let us talk about Birmingham, the second largest city in the UK and one that has been on the radar of property investors for years, but is now entering what I genuinely believe is its most important growth phase yet. The Commonwealth Games in 2022 did something for Birmingham that goes well beyond the infrastructure upgrades and the regeneration projects it directly funded. It changed the perception of the city on an international stage. It demonstrated to businesses, investors, and residents alike that Birmingham was capable of delivering at the highest level. And that perception shift has real, lasting consequences for investment flows and property demand. Birmingham's population is young, one of the youngest average ages of any major European city, which means long-term organic demand for housing is structurally strong. The city's tech and innovation sector is growing rapidly. HS2, regardless of the political debate around it, has already triggered billions of pounds of private investment into the areas around Curzon Street Station and the broader city centre regeneration zone. And rental demand in Birmingham is fierce, driven by a combination of students, young professionals, and a growing population of people relocating from London in search of more space and better value. The specific opportunity in Birmingham right now lies in the emerging neighbourhoods, the areas just outside the immediate city centre that are being pulled along by the regeneration wave. Digbeth in particular is one of the most talked about creative and cultural districts in the country right now, with major development projects transforming what was an underused industrial area into a vibrant, desirable urban neighbourhood. The early movers in Digbeth are already seeing strong capital growth, but there is still a window, and that window will not stay open forever. Now I want to pause here and say something directly to you, because this is important. If you are watching this video and thinking, "This all sounds great, but I do not know where to start. I do not have enough money. I do not understand how the process works," I want you to hear this. Every single person who owns property today started from a point of not knowing. The knowledge gap is closable. The capital barriers are more flexible than you think, especially with the range of buying strategies available in the UK market today. And NestPath UK exists precisely to help people bridge that gap, to give you the understanding and the confidence to take a first step, whatever that step looks like for your situation. Let us move on to a city that might genuinely surprise you. Nottingham. Now, Nottingham does not always make the headline lists when people talk about UK property investment, and honestly, that is part of what makes it interesting. Because while the louder cities are getting all the attention, Nottingham has been quietly building a very strong case for itself. 2 major universities with a combined student population of over 60,000. A city centre that has seen significant retail and leisure regeneration. A growing biomedical and life sciences cluster that is attracting high-quality employment. And property prices that, relative to the rental income those properties can generate, offer some of the strongest yield profiles in the entire East Midlands. The Nottingham buy-to-let market in particular has attracted serious attention from experienced investors who understand that yield, the income your property generates relative to its cost, is the foundation of sustainable property investment. And in a market where mortgage costs have been elevated, buying in a city where the yields are strong gives you a buffer that higher-priced, lower-yield markets simply cannot offer. And then there is Liverpool, a city with a property market that has been on a remarkable journey over the past 15 years and still has, in my view, meaningful growth ahead of it. Liverpool's waterfront regeneration is one of the most striking urban transformations in Europe. The city's cultural pull, its music heritage, its football clubs, its hospitality and tourism sector creates a diverse and resilient economic base. And critically, Liverpool has one of the strongest short-term rental markets in the UK, driven by the enormous volume of visitors the city attracts every single year. For investors looking at short-term lets or serviced accommodation strategies, Liverpool offers a combination of strong demand, relatively affordable entry prices, and a city brand that does a lot of the marketing work for you. For long-term buy-to-let investors, the fundamentals of a growing population, rising employment, and an improving city centre make a compelling case. And for first-time buyers, Liverpool still offers the possibility of getting onto the property ladder in a major UK city at a price point that London and Manchester buyers can only dream about. Here at NestPath UK, we genuinely believe that Liverpool is one of those cities where people will look back in 5 years and wish they had paid closer attention in 2026. The trajectory is clear, the fundamentals are strong, and the window of relative affordability will not stay open indefinitely. Now, I promised you earlier that I would share something at the end of this video that most property channels will never tell you. And here it is. The biggest barrier to property success in the UK is not the market. It is not the interest rates. It is not the government policy or the stamp duty or the mortgage criteria. The biggest barrier is the gap between knowing and doing. Most people who watch videos like this one, and I say this with genuine respect, will watch it, find it interesting, maybe share it with a friend, and then go back to doing exactly what they were doing before. And that is not a criticism. That is just human nature. Change is uncomfortable. Action feels risky. The status quo feels safe. But here is what I want you to sit with. The people who built wealth through UK property did not do it because they had more money or more knowledge or more luck than you. They did it because at some point they made a decision to move from interested to committed. They stopped waiting for perfect conditions and started taking imperfect action. They asked the questions, made the calls, visited the properties, and eventually made the move, even when it felt scary. And every single one of them will tell you that the scariest step was the first one, and that the only regret they have is not taking it sooner. NestPath UK is here to walk that journey with you. Whether you are at the very beginning, still trying to understand how mortgages work and what help to buy actually means, or whether you are already a landlord looking to expand your portfolio into a new city, this channel is built for you. We break down the complexity. We cut through the noise. We give you the honest picture so you can make decisions with confidence rather than confusion. So here is what I want you to do right now. If this video gave you value, if even one city or one idea sparked something in you, hit the like button. It takes 1 second, and it genuinely helps more people find this content. Drop a comment below telling me which city you are most interested in and why. I read every single comment, and I respond to as many as I can. And if you are not already subscribed to NestPath UK, do it right now. We have more videos coming that go deep on each of these cities individually, on buying strategies, on financing, on everything you need to know to make your move in the UK property market with confidence. We will see you in the next one.